For our audience out there that may not have read the articles or may have read it and still don't quite understand specifically, exactly what the Houston Astros did here, could you explain to my listeners exactly what they, what they are guilty of?
I would love to. Back in 2017, at the beginning of the year, the Astros, with Alex Cora as their bench coach, started using the video replay room, which is located just off of the dugout, to decode sign sequences. Now, every pitch that is thrown from pitcher to catcher, the catcher will put a sign in between his legs to indicate what he wants the pitcher to throw. As years have gone on and teams got a little more paranoid and wary of other teams trying to steal the signs and relay to the batters what exactly was coming, they've developed something called sign sequences, which is essentially to say, Stephen A., I'm telling you right now that the third sign I throw down is the one that I want you to throw. And so what teams, and the Astros in particular, have been trying to do since 2017 is to decode those sequences, figure out what was coming, and then relay it somehow to the batters. This was not good enough just to decode the sequences. So what they wound up doing was getting a monitor installed right next to the dugout that had a feed coming from a camera in center field that was placed there for player development purposes. It's a really slow motion camera that can capture the grips of pitchers and see if the grips are correct. What they wound up doing is zooming that camera in to the opposing catchers, and people would sit there next to the dugout near this monitor and try in real time to decode the sign sequences. Once they were decoded, all of a sudden they could look at what the sign was. They knew it was coming, and they would take a bat and bang on a trash can to alert the batter who was at the plate what was coming, whether it was a fastball, a curveball, a slider, a changeup. And when, as a baseball player, you know what's coming, you have a much, much greater chance of hitting it.
Today, I have made the decision to dismiss A.J. Hinch and Jeff Luhnow.
They all knew. The fact that they all knew and continued to participate in this says everything that you need to know about them.
This championship is going to be tainted.
He sent out a memo in 17. He sent out a memo in 18. Rules of law on the wall. You violated them.
One of the big changes in the game for me is the arrogance within the game now.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
With insurance for cars, homes, boats, and motorcycles. Triple eight say ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. I'm dead serious with some of the stuff that I'm talking about. I'm dead serious about it. Because to me, you just can't get around it. You really, really can't. We'll go to the phones and please get this this read off my screen, Kat, John, please. Because it's not moving. Having some technical difficulties here. Having to communicate with my staff over the air. I apologize for that. Thank you. Here's the deal. I'm not going to go as far as my boy Jeff wants to go. He thinks that the Astros shouldn't be allowed to play until game number 51 of the regular season. The first 50 games, they should have to forfeit and they should have to wait to play. So play 2 months later. You don't deserve it. My attitude is that would make the fans suffer, and they didn't do anything to deserve this. But the belief is everybody had to know. No, that's not true. Baseball is a relatively sophisticated game at times. Unless you're completely enthralled with it, the way my boy Jeff is, there's certain things you're not going to know. Certain things you're not going to know. You're not going to hear the pounding of a trash can and think, I watched the games. I heard the pounding of the trash can. I didn't think of anything of it. I wasn't thinking about it. Who would have thought that was a way to steal signs? Who would have thought that? So you got that as a problem. But I tell you what I would do. You know, in Major League Baseball, you know, my producer Jonathan Winthrop believes that Major League Baseball is waiting for the Mets to fire Carlos Beltran. I agree with John on this. Major League Baseball should hand down its punishment and let the Mets do what they feel is right. But you shouldn't punk out and avoid punishing Carlos Beltran, which I don't understand why it would be an issue. I really, really don't. If Major League Baseball can hand down a heavy hammer against A.J. Hinch and Jeff Luhnow, and why can't they do it with Carlos Beltran? There can only be one reason. Because at the time he was a player and you're reticent about dealing with the Players Association. That's the only explanation I can think of. It's the only explanation. But I say to hell with all of that. I'm telling y'all right now, this is Black Sox Scandal 2.0. New millennium. And to me, if you're not going to punish any of these players, at the very least, induct Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame. Reinstate him, too. Don't disown him like this. At the very least. If you're going to let these players get away with this. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You are listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Let's go to Joseph. You're live with yours truly. What's up, Joe? Joseph, are you on the line? Going once, Joseph.
Yes, I am here.
Going
yes,
twice,
I am here.
Joseph.
I'm sorry, Beth. How are you?
All right, you're here. All right, don't try that with me.
Hello, sir.
Be ready. Let's go.
I apologize, sir. Anyway, what do you think that the Astros' punishment is severe enough, and how does this affect your view on their championship?
In light of the information that has come out, I think the punishment is definitely severe enough in terms of the manager and the general manager because they lost their jobs, as well they should. I do think some punishment should come down upon the players. Let's find out who was complicit in all of this because it appears they were, and let's deal with them too. Outside of that, I think the World Series, listen, you can't give the World Series trophy to the Dodgers. That's ridiculous. But what you can do is take it from the Astros. We see it in the NCAA all the time. We see championships confiscated. We see trophies removed from universities and whatever. Why can't you remove the World Series trophy from the Houston Astros facility? It does not belong to you. Give it to us. You cheated. Why you can't do that? You can do that. You can certainly do that. I think that at the very least, that's what you should do. Appreciate the call. Let's go to Tony. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Tony?
Peace, Stephen A. Smith,
Tony.
on this beautiful day. Hello.
What's up? You're live on the
hear
air.
me?
Go ahead, man. Yes,
All
I
right,
can.
no
Go
problem.
ahead.
Hey, just a quick question. Do you think, with everything that's going on right now, you know, two names that I'm not hearing right now, you know, John Henry and Dave Dombrowski. You know, I know Cora, throw him in there, Beltran, throw him in there. You know, if Beltran, if he's caught up in it as well. But I mean, they hired Dombrowski. He was 60 years old. They fired him after the championship. They were talking about that they wanted to transition to a more process-oriented, you know, type of situation over there in Boston. But, I mean, it smells pretty fishy now looking back on it. You know, Dave Dombrowski needs to be subpoenaed. They need to bring him up to the office and talk to him a bit.
We have. Well, you don't know that they haven't, and we have to go by what the report reveals. If Dombrowski was implicated in any of this, it stands to reason he would have been mentioned in the 9-page report. I don't know whether that's the case. I don't know the particulars. Jeff Passan enlightened us yesterday. Tim Kirkjian will continue to enlighten us all day, along with various other baseball aficionados, and you can listen to them talk it far more in Dodgers. If I'm the Los Angeles Dodgers, who were victims of this, you know who I have in my office today to have this conversation with?
Who's that?
Manager Dave Roberts. Manager Dave Roberts, What the hell were you doing when all of this was going on? You are an aficionado of baseball. You're a manager. You didn't pick up on that? Because let me assure you, the late Billy Martin, Earl of the Yankees, Earl Weaver of the Orioles, even a Tony La Russa, who, by the way, I mean, when you look at some of the stuff that he was associated with in terms of his players and what they were doing on this watch, you could obviously, you could have some question marks about him, but the man knows baseball. Bruce Bochy, okay, Lou Piniella, people like this. You trying to tell me if somebody was banging on a trash can every other pitch, they wouldn't have noticed? Dave Roberts, what the hell were you doing? Did you pick up on anything? Did you tell anybody? Did you bring it to anybody's attention? What'd you do? Because 2 World Series, we came up short against these guys. You didn't pick up on any of this. I wonder why. I'm asking that question. That's just me. 888-SAY-ESPN is the number to call. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Back with more of your calls in a minute to close out the hour before my man Scott Van Pelt comes on the show to jumpstart hour number 2. By the way, it's time for some straight talk. The big wireless carriers try to wow you with big deals, but the savings are very little. With Straight Talk Wireless, you get the exact same networks as the big guys, but saving up to half the cost. Right now, you can get the unlimited plan with up to 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2 gigs.